Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from Prince George, British Columbia, northern British Columbia. I call it the capital of northern BC, an amazing place most of the time. Unfortunately, right now, it's in May of 2023, and there are a lot of forest fires all around us. So what you see in the distance, it's not fog, it is smoke. And so we're always concerned about the people that live in the north. There are some communities that have some serious issues, and everybody always is concerned, obviously. Today is a very special day. We have a special guest, and her name is Anna Trujillo. Anna, tell me a little bit about you. Were you born? The name doesn't sound like it is North American, but it is
right.
European in some form?
Yeah. So it's actually Spanish. So my
Spanish.
dad is from Spain. My mom is from Greece. And I was born here. So
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Prince George.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to live, to
Yeah.
grow up.
Yeah.
And now raising kids here too.
Yeah. And you have two kids?
Yes.
And
yeah.
how old are they?
So I have my son, Luca, and he's 3. And
Isaac?
sorry?
What's his name?
Luca.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then...
And then I have my daughter. She just turned 1, and her name's Zara.
oh, Sora.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that keeps you busy?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at that
Very.
age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're an entrepreneur, but you have a very, very interesting in all the different things that you've done. You know, so you went to school here. You were born in Prince George, as you indicated, and then you went to school in Prince George. Did you go anywhere else? Or?
Yeah. Well, I went to PGSS for high school here, and then I went to the university, and I got a degree.
Here?
Yes. Yeah.
You see, isn't that amazing? University of Northern British Columbia again, right?
Yeah.
And you're still here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got a degree in...
Yeah. So I did a joint in political science and international studies, and then a minor in marketing.
Okay.
And it was super cool. It was a really nice, well-diverse degree, and I really enjoyed it, and I have done nothing with it so far, but at least I have it, which I love. And maybe the marketing has played into my business now, but it's super cool having that and learning that side of, you know, the world and everything, and, you know, international studies, and just getting all this information. And now I create stuff with like wood and signs and stuff.
So the University of Northern British Columbia, relatively new university, it is the most popular small university in Canada, several years already. And you've been working there as well, right? And as a career?
At the university?
Yeah.
I did for a small period of time. Yeah, so I just did some casual work there.
Okay.
And it was, I think, maybe a year or 2 I did there.
Okay.
So not very long, but I did that while I was in the last year of my degree.
Okay, and then what did you do from there on in?
So from there, I was pregnant. So then
Right.
I had...
With your son?
Yes, with my son, Luca.
Yeah.
So then I had him. And when I had him and when I was pregnant with him, it was right in the middle of that shift when COVID was happening.
COVID, right? Yeah.
So a lot was changing really, really fast.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of social interaction, which I love.
Yeah.
And so I had Luca. And so I didn't work. I didn't do anything. You know, I was mom full time now. That was like my main focus. And it got to about when he was 6 months old that I was just craving. I felt like I needed something more. I needed to do something more. And I had to be innovative and learn what could I do at home that I'm going to love, that other people can also enjoy, because we couldn't do interaction at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's basically when I started Gray and Oak, which...
Yeah, and that's an interesting name, Gray plus Oak. Why Gray plus Oak?
Yeah, so Luca, my son, his middle name is Gray.
Right.
And then oak was for wood because I started making wood signs.
Yeah.
And I was going, gray and pine. I was like, no, that doesn't sound good. And then I was just like going off these other things. And it was actually my brother. And we were sitting there just like the family hanging out. We're a very close family. And I was like, I want like gray and something to do with wood. And he goes, gray and oak. And I was like, yes, that clicked. Yes.
Click.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I have to give him credit for that because he said it and I was like, you got it. You nailed it. So that's where that came from.
Yeah.
And then I just took off. I just started it. I just did it.
So you do signage for one, but a lot more than that. Like I'm looking at that piece that's sitting next to you. That is an amazing. You brought it in. Must be something you're working on. And as soon as I saw it, I love it. Everything about it is so special.
Thank you. Yeah, so this piece right here, this is actually a custom order that I have made for another business in town. It's for her home studio. And it's like all my orders are completely custom. So they'll send me a message, they'll have an idea, and we'll work together. Sometimes they'll send me pictures of their space and say, what can I do? And I'll give them my personal ideas. And we go from there and create something really special that's personal.
So how does that start, Anna? People know your company, you're online, I presume, and then you get people contacting you and say, I want something that is uniquely different especially for me. You talk to the client, and then between the client and you, or mainly you, likely, once you hear what the client wants, you design something that is unique for that client.
Yeah. So basically, it's mostly through Instagram. I'm very, very active on Instagram. There is some like Facebook, and I'm just finishing my website right now. But mostly it is through Instagram. So yeah, they'll send me a message, we'll work together, they'll have an idea, or they'll know exactly what they want. But what I do is I give them the size options. I will give them like my personal input on what I think will look best in their space. And then I will create like a draft. So when you see like the lettering here and stuff, there's so many different fonts that you can work with, right?
Yeah.
And so even positioning things and stuff. And sometimes you would think that positioning something right in the center is going to be the best because sometimes you want it to be like looking good, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes when you place it off a little bit or this way, it just gives it that extra little look to it that actually makes it look a little bit more luxurious.
So what I would have done if I said to you, I want something, and I don't know how many details did you work out with your client for this particular project, then I would look at this and I say, do no more. I got it now. Yeah. Just give it to me as soon as you can because it's exactly what I want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
So the clients that contact you, are they from all over the place on Instagram?
Majority, I think, is from Prince George. A lot of like pickup in Prince George.
Right.
A lot surrounding. I've shipped all the way to Montreal.
Right.
I haven't really offered shipping outside of Canada, like, the States, or I've had someone message me in Europe and they said, oh, can I, because I had some blankets available too. I do like other things, right? And can I order a blanket? And I was just like, you know what, like I would love to, but it just doesn't make sense to ship that far because the blanket would be so expensive that I don't even think it would be worth it at that point. So I just haven't even touched shipping that far, especially being a small business, the shipping rates and stuff, they get up there, right? So mostly within Canada, Prince George.
North America?
A little bit, not very much.
No,
yeah.
Mainly because of freight cost?
Yeah.
Is that, but I found, like with our podcasting, well, as you know, I'm also in the lumber business. Most of our lumber goes all the way to the southeastern United States or central United States, Texas, for instance, and other places. So we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Every week we ship carload after carload after carload.
Yeah.
And so international trading it's an open market, really.
Yeah.
The other thing with the podcasting that we do, more and more because of technology is that we are interviewing people from all over the world. We have had them from Sweden, from Central Europe, from Holland, not from Greece yet, and but Spain. We have had them from the United States, on and on and on. So it's amazing what has happened through technology.
Yeah.
When I first came here in 1965, I would send telegrams to my parents. That took a long time. Hello, I'm okay, stop. Need money, stop. Blah, 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 stop. That kind of a stuff.
Right.
And then it would take days and days and days, and then and now it goes like, oh, just see my text. Oh, I got a text. Oh, I'll get it later.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing though? The
Isn't it amazing?
convenience and just being able to connect with everyone worldwide so easily.
Instantly.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the same is with podcasting. Like our podcast go all over the world. And we have an amazing amount of people watching internationally. And we podcasting people from international areas, as I said earlier. And we do more and more of that. And they look more and more, just like we're sitting together. And we have a camera and television set sitting across from us here.
Right.
Usually I sit in your location.
Yeah.
Then we see the two persons side by side.
Yeah.
No different than CNN. And it looks like, for all intents and purposes, we are sitting together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not all that long ago, that was totally inconceivable.
Right.
I still have the other day I found one of my first cell phones, actually probably is worth a fortune, was about this big, and it was a shoe, and so
It's an antique.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? All of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
the evolvement of technology.
Yeah.
So you do signage, and how do you see your business evolve from here?
Yeah, so my business just basically did a little jump. So I started making wood signs, and then I would introduce some cups, and I would do the designs, like the logos on cups. And I did tote bags, and I constantly, as soon as I got kind of comfortable with something, I wanted to do something else and just like keep doing more and more and more. And then now I've just introduced acrylic signs. So that is this one right here. And I have
How do you call that?
acrylic sign.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just acrylic. So instead of wood,
Yeah,
it's the acrylic, and yeah.
And where are the applications other than hanging it up someplace? Or what do they use that for?
Like the sign.
Yeah.
A lot of it is on the wall. A lot of it is like business logos.
Right.
Even outside, so people have a studio just outside their door.
Right.
They have like their business logo. It comes in all different sizes too,
Right,
and
right.
shapes. So it's
And
a lot.
thicknesses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot we can work with. But yeah, so it is a lot of like business logos, office business decor, and I also make like acrylic calendars, which I don't know if you've seen those.
No.
Okay, so those are pretty neat. They basically are a sheet of acrylic and it's clear. And then I make a calendar design that's custom to my client. And they can put it all together how they want. I make it, send them their draft, they approve it or make any changes. And then what happens is the design goes on the back of the acrylic, and because it's clear, it's see-through,
Okay.
then it's mirrored. So you can then just take it, it's like a dry erase board. You take any like dry erase marker and you write on it and plan out, your meals, your goals, your anything. If you want to do like affirmations, if you just want like your monthly calendar. And we usually fit a lot onto like a big sign like that. And then they just write and plan and stay organized as best as possible with a busy life.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really an artist, right?
Yeah.
That's what you are.
I like to think so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I look at you as an artist, the things that you do, and your background at the university, probably for that purpose alone, and not only as what you're doing now, it probably, although it does not look directly as that it was necessarily for that purpose, but it is. You know, because without that, you would not have had the concept of marketing and all the other things that are direct or indirectly related to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't feel like it, you know, it's not like you go into a nursing program, right? And you come out and you know you're going to be a nurse.
Yeah.
So it's not like that like set curriculum, but like having something that's so broad, you take little pieces of information everywhere.
Right.
And like I said, I haven't used it, but I probably have used it in ways that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as I said earlier, where does it go from here?
Yeah, so we are now, so I don't know, we're doing like our acrylic signs, which I'm loving. I'm feeling so passionate about it, and I just love creating it. I can't wait. I put my kids to bed. I like mom all day long. As soon as those kids go to bed, I'm like exhausted, and I can't wait for their bedtime sometimes by 8 o'clock.
Well, you got,
I got 2 of them.
Your son is 2 years old, and your daughter 1 year old. They're very demanding.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
but they go to bed, and then all of a sudden I'm like, it's like I just drank like a Red Bull or like 10 coffees because I'm like ready to work and I'm buzzing and I just can't wait. And I'm like, sometimes people want to do like a phone call at that time, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Or I respond at 11 o'clock at nighttime, and they're like, thanks for the late respond. And I'm like, I'm just starting to work. Like, I'm like, don't even worry about it. But so we just started doing the acrylic signs, which I love. And then we're doing wedding decor and wedding signs. So we have like...
So that's a new
it's a new
niche,
little avenue
right?
we're like going down,
So you're kind of finding the niches on the foundation of being artistic, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, that again, hence the web page is critical because it showcases what you do. As soon as I saw that, hello gorgeous, you know, I thought, oh my God, how unique in a way on acrylic, and you know, so that takes that real artistic approach to it, makes it unique. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I like for everything to be unique and to that person, because I don't make, like, everything's made to order. I don't make a bunch of things and, you know, duplicates. And if someone wants the exact piece, they can absolutely get the exact piece. I don't ever say no. But even then it's unique because I can't place it the exact spot or anything. Of course it's going to look the same, but little details will be a little bit different. And so from here we're doing, but I'm still doing a lot of customs. I enjoy the communication with the customers. I like to talk and figure out what they want it to look like, what vibes or what feeling they want from it, and then go from there. But I also like being a part of someone's special day with their wedding, and I've made like a wedding rental package. So they can definitely order like custom wedding signs, but I've made multiple different designs of acrylic wedding packages that have basically every sign you would need for your day at a fourth of the cost, right?
Really?
And that way, and so I was thinking that way too. It's so much waste sometimes for one day to, you know, invest so much money into, have all these, like, you know, for example, signs, and then what do you do with them after, right?
Right.
So I was thinking, how can I make it easier? And I have my wedding happening next year.
Right.
And that's kind of where this came from, is because I was like, holy, these are, like, everything just adds up. And I was like, how can I make it easier, more efficient, and also not so much waste?
Right.
And that's how I came up with like rental packages.
Yeah. So they are rental packages.
Yeah.
And that includes...
So in our packages, it includes your welcome sign, aisle sign, table numbers, bar sign, dessert sign, Mr. and Mrs. sign, guest book, photos.
Do you work with how does it work with, I don't remember from my own wedding. I probably didn't have any money, couldn't afford an expensive wedding. But in any event, you know, but some weddings are really, really large and very extraordinary. And what do they usually do? They hire somebody to do this for them, who then could hire you, or do they hire you first to help them put together a concept, and then from there and then bring the pieces that they require for the entire event?
So I work straight with the client. it's all very different. It's very unique because some people will have a wedding planner, some people will have a designer, some people just like the day of. There's so many different things when it comes to the wedding world that it's just, I don't even know all of it yet to date. But I just work, like basically the customer just reaches out to me and just says, this is my color palette. This is what I got going on.
Yeah.
If it works with one of the rental packages and that's what they want, then we go ahead and pick one that works with them, and they don't have to use every single sign. They can. It comes with stands, like it's all set up for them. Or they can just get custom ones. So if they have like, you know, they want purple signs or something, right? Then I can make those, absolutely. I just don't have a package for that because that is a pretty unique color to have that's not very diverse for a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's options, but I do work straight with the client.
So, if I were sitting here as a consultant to somebody that is contemplating business, then I would say that's interesting because I know the market is virtually unlimited because weddings go on all the time, regardless of what, and you know, sometimes more than once. You know, I'm just being funny. But in any event, the you know, and to do it special is something that is important, and do it different is important. And it sounds to me like what you're doing is really a niche.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I've had a lot of bookings so far for my rental packages, and a lot of people love them. And I wasn't sure because I would think that someone would want, you know, also their custom signs because, like you say, they want it to be different. They want it to feel exactly like them.
Special.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think the way that the packages are so diverse and there's like 4 different options, it just blends really well. And it goes with like different vibes and aesthetics that works pretty seamlessly.
So how long ago did you start the wedding niche?
Yeah, that just came about, I want to say in January this year.
Not all that long ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So what caught me is that, in my attention, is that it is unique, it is different, it is different packages, it has all the different concepts. There is an interaction between the client and the artist in this case, and that it is substantially cheaper, maybe sometimes a third of the price that somebody else would have to pay. It's very attractive.
Yeah, exactly.
So that also will be then on the website. Because that's what is critical, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you don't have to be necessarily in Prince George for that. It could be somebody in Williams Lake, Kelowna.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of people from here travel a lot of the times to Kelowna or the Okanagan. It's a very popular spot.
Right.
And they will rent the package from here and travel with it and then bring it back.
Right.
And then I have people from like Fort St. John or something, and they will travel up to grab the package and then have their wedding and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just, I guess it makes sense.
Are there any other models like that you're familiar with?
I don't know, no.
Because I've never heard of it.
No, I've never. I don't want to say, I'm the first one to do it, but I have not seen anyone do it like that I know of.
Have you looked at the website about it? Bedding packages or bedding concept, you know, all that?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't really searched it. I like to formulate what my vision is first and not really have any outside influence.
Yeah.
So I haven't searched because I just,
makes sense, Anna.
I like to like put it together and be like, this is unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like it. That's a very good idea, though. So so you're really an entrepreneur, aren't you?
Yeah. A little bit.
No, I would say quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, because you find a new product for a new market.
Yeah, I just get really excited about things. Like I see something and I think a lot of the times I myself would love it.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my God, this is something that I want and I would love to like have available, and the convenience of it being not available. And then I just take it and I'm like, well, I'm sure someone else would want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, what I like about you is that it reminds me of this that's important to me. 2547 is what I had in my pocket when I came here in July, about 4 blocks up. Couldn't speak language, didn't know a soul, didn't have a job.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. But I had to mention that to you because that's what it says. But I really want to point out what I see with you and what I say about myself is the foundation for me is attitude, passion, work ethic, what follows success.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's what I see in you.
Thank
is
you,
that
yeah.
You are a good communicator. You have the passion in the products that you manufacture, and the customers or the people that are planning for a major event in their life, if I'm thinking about this, but also about other products like the one that you took with you, is very important for them, and it is something that to know that they were party to designing that by giving ideas and you put it together. It's a piece of art.
Yeah, they're a part of the process.
It is a piece of art, right? And I love that, so and that makes that unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really fun. I liked, and especially going back to the whole, COVID time, we couldn't go and interact with people, but I felt like I got that, and especially being in that postpartum stage of motherhood and learning a whole new way of life. I lost that communication with people, and I thrive with hanging out and talking.
I know you're a social person. Not a good time.
Yeah, and so I was also searching for that connection with people.
Yeah.
And it is a genuine connection when I talk to I say they're my friends because we talk so much, and sometimes it gets to a point where I just I'll see them post something and I'm messaging them as if I'm their friend, being oh my God, congratulations, and asking them questions because I do feel involved and connected with them, which is super special. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, your dad, he's still alive?
Yes. Yeah.
Your mom and dad?
Yeah.
So they are Greece and Spanish.
Yeah.
So I would think you're fluent in Spanish, not so much Greece?
The other way.
The other way.
Well, I wouldn't say fluent. I haven't spoken Greek.
You told me that.
Yeah. I haven't spoken Greek in, oh my gosh, it's been about 3 years now. But we used to go to...
You will not lose it.
No, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's just a little rusty.
But what happens sometimes to people that come from other countries? I came here on my own, and I always felt like a Canadian from the day I arrived. Actually, we were liberated. I was born in 1940, so makes me 82 and a half, actually, in 1940. And I was 5 years old when we got liberated by the Canadian Army, April the 12th, 1945.
Wow.
And, so it made such an impression on me that from the time I was 5 years old, I always knew I would want to go to the land of my heroes. And I tried to go when I was 17, and then my parents wouldn't let me. Then I got drafted into the Dutch Air Force for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was mandatory. It was good, actually.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it was amazingly Air Force security and special police, and and then amazing at 18. But in any event, and then I left when I was 24, and and then I want to start from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And then and then my dad worked in the forest industry, managed a small lumber mill, and then my grandfather was a master carpenter. And I knew always I liked lumber and I wanted to work in the lumber industry. So going to Canada, BC, and then the other dream was starting from the bottom up with nothing, and then building my own lumber mill.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that I made it so difficult is because I was not very good in school. I failed grade 3, and I failed grade 7 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then they said, what are we going to do with this guy?
Yeah.
And my parents were beautiful individuals.
Yeah.
So some people said to them, so send them to the mentally challenged school. Fortunately, they didn't do that. So they sent me to become a furniture maker. I did that.
Okay.
And then from there on in, I worked for another lumber company in Holland. Quite a good job, actually.
Yeah.
In the auditing department. Don't ask me how I got there, but I was one right up the ranks. And but then I still felt I had to go to Canada because I felt on the schooling side I had failed, and I had to prove to myself that I could do that on my own. So I took $150 with me to Canada, and by the time I flew into Montreal, took the train across Canada to Vancouver. By coincidence, talked to a German fellow at the immigration department in Vancouver, told them what I wanted to do. I could speak some German. Told him I wanted to build a lumber mill. He said, go to Prince George. That's where the lumber mills are. And so I took the bus, 12, 13 hours, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I came here, counted my money at $25.47. No job, didn't know anybody, and started out as a cleanup man and all those kind of things, right? It took me until that was when I was 24. It took me until I was 57 when I found out I was ADHD, you know, so, and interesting. So, but the first thing that happened is I started getting a job, piling lumber, cleanup man, very quickly wound up the ranks as a supervisor.
Yeah.
Then became a general manager of a lumber mill in Watson Lake, Yukon.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No. No, I haven't.
Ooh, very cold in the wintertime.
Is it? That's probably why I haven't
but
been there.
Even
Too
in the
cold?
summer, it snows in July.
Oh.
You don't know if it's late or early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not so good.
Yeah. I don't think that weather's for me, but
So I always felt I had to write about it.
yeah.
Right? And so I thought about it it took me 80 years to live it, 20 years to think about it, 2 years to write it.
Wow.
And against all odds, very popular actually.
Yeah.
And but with an autobiography is that with grade 7, what the heck do you do with grade 7, right? If it is not even your mother tongue. I'm an amazing writer. Don't know why. I'm very good at writing. I'm very good at numbers. And yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's amazing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started writing it, and then obviously with an autobiography like this one, against all odds, you cannot say, no, not very good, so I'll write another one. You got one, that's the one.
Exactly.
You know, and so I put a lot of effort into it, and
Yeah.
this is the one. Did you get this one?
No, I didn't.
I'm going to get you a copy of it.
Okay, I'm excited to read it.
I'm going to sign it for you.
Thank you.
Before you go.
Okay.
And the book is not about John Hurrah, hurrah. It's not about that.
Yeah.
Being born during the war years was very difficult on my parents, and you can, my mom in particular, you can relate to that, because my mother had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy was 1 when the girl was 1 when the war started. The boy was 2.
Oh wow.
And then she was pregnant with her 3rd boy. That was me. So my dad was called into the Canadian Army in April of 1940. I was born in November.
Wow.
And for the next 5 years, she was alone, trying to make them survive, because everybody had lots of their own issues and problems.
Oh, yeah.
It got very, very rough.
Yeah.
With my dad, he was doing the bombing of Rotterdam. When they leveled most of the center of Rotterdam, everybody thought he was gone and was dead. It took us 5 years to find out that he was still alive.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but everything with trauma like this and being exposed to it, he was never the same after that again.
Yeah.
With my mom trying to survive, as you well know, on a daily basis, not having food, not having heat, and then with bombers overhead
Yeah.
in the air, not knowing what's going to happen next, was very difficult.
Absolutely.
They called it the hunger winter. It was extremely cold. Nothing to eat because the Germans had cut off all supply of food that came in by air.
Right.
And they were just trying to survive on whatever they could find. And for us as the kids, you know, by then I was nearly 4. My sister was 5, and my brother was 6. we would go every morning with gunny sacks to the rail yards and pick up anything edible and burnable every day.
Yeah.
The reason that we did is because they wouldn't shoot us, but they would put us in our bag, but we'd be back the following morning. And then in the evening, we would sit in a little room of the house around a heater about that size just to stay. It was extremely cold. A lot of old people died, a lot of kids died.
Yeah.
And so it was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And, for me, looking back, way back then when I was much older already, it affected me in terms of PTSD that will never leave you. And then the other one that I had counseling for in my late 50s already is the inner child. Of fearing that parent, that single, alone parent that you relied on to protect you. And it very, very emotionally very touching to go through counseling about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing is then when I was in Prince George, somehow I walked into a store here on 4th Avenue and I picked up a book called Driven to Distraction. I have no idea why I picked it up. I opened the book and it talked about ADHD. And I said, oh my God, that's me. And I started reading and looking. And then, then what I did, I bought the book, obviously, and I wrote in Dutch, and now I finally know who I am. But it took me a long time before I dealt even with it, because then there was stigma attached to it, right? And even till most recently, really. And then it took me 5 years after that, when I was 62, when I went to my doc, and the doc was the one that delivered both our daughters, and at the same time, it was a personal friend, and and I went into his office, and he said, "Why are you here, John?" I said, "I think I got ADHD." So we went through it, and he said, "Yeah, there's no question about it." So then that created a lot of clarity in my mind, but there still was a lot of clarity of problems with it, because what am I going to do? I'm building a company. I need to lend millions of dollars to build infrastructure. I'm going to go to the banker and saying, I want to do this, that, and the other things, but I got a mental problem here. They call it ADHD. Say, have a nice day. Right? So a lot of that has now changed.
It has.
I believe. But I felt I had to do more about it, so I wrote the book about it. ADHD Unlocked, very popular internationally, but not only for those that have ADHD. I say that, and I'm absolutely convinced about it, that the frequency of occurrence much, much, much higher than ever was anticipated. There is not a day that does not go by that somebody says to me, I have it too. And every time. And then, the other part about it is that I believe also for people that are slow learners, or I'm thinking First Nations as people in particular that have been affected by trauma of some sort or another, and subsequently are slow learners, or just for people to know that in the circle of people that you should know the typical trademarks of somebody that's ADHD. They easily distracted. They can do 20 things all at the same time. All of those kind of things. And I call it a superpower.
It is. I too have ADHD.
Do you?
I do.
Have you been diagnosed?
I have, So I actually got diagnosed when I was at the university. And it's funny you say too about, not doing well in grade 3 or grade 7 and just like that kind of thing. I was never the one to be an A+ student. I never was. I couldn't pay attention. And I couldn't focus. And then I was like, I would miss the lecture. So I didn't know. I didn't know why.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah. And then once I figured it out, I was like, this all makes sense. And I think...
When did you get diagnosed?
I was at the university, so it had to have been now, I don't even know, at least 6 or 7 years now.
Were you public about it?
You know what, I don't really speak about it. It just never has come up. If someone asks, I'll tell them.
Today it came up.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it sure did. But you know what? It's not something that I hide. I don't feel like I need to hide it. It's a part of me, and everyone is unique in their own ways.
I think, that I could not imagine myself without ADHD. Yeah. I could not have done what I'm doing without ADHD. There's no question about that.
Right? Yeah.
And so I call it a superpower. And I do a lot of public speaking actually and give presentations. And I did 6 months, 8 months ago, I forget now when it was, in a small setting of people all in their late 30s, early 40s. They were all executives of companies or doing things themselves, and we had about 25 of them or so, and they wanted to have 3 people talk about the lumber industry, and I was the third one.
Right.
And I thought, well, I heard already enough about the forest industry, so I'm going to talk about writing books.
Yeah.
Especially this one.
Yeah.
And 3 people stuck their finger up and said they are ADHD.
Yeah.
One of them never mentioned it to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know what? That's probably why I have so many ideas, and why
No question about it.
Right?
I'm getting now to the point that I'm sitting now sometimes in a circle, and you hear people all talking about ADHD, and then the other people say, "Damn, I wish I had it."
Yeah.
Too. So,
right? Yeah. No, exactly.
It has come a long way. But even more importantly, at least in my mind, is that I started talking about it quite a number of years ago, about the inner child, PTSD in combination with ADHD, that I felt I had an obligation to talk about that.
Yeah.
And and to be more public about it.
Yeah.
ADHD is something that I was born with. That's who I was when I was born.
Yeah.
PTSD was circumstantial.
Absolutely.
And same the inner child. But you get counseling for that, and then it is better. And PTSD will always be kind of with you still.
Yeah.
But still the counseling helps with that. ADHD will never change, and and I could take medication for it. I don't know if you did, but then I again went to my doctor, and after another 5 years, when I was 67 or so, in 2008 actually, and I'll tell you why I know that, is that I said to him, but I've been checking it all out and all the other things. You think it would help me if I took pills? And he said, I don't know. He said, you could try. I said, what should I take? He said, Adderall maybe. I don't know. Ritalin, Adderall. So I said, okay, well, I'll use the Adderall. So he got me 0.20. They say it's pretty strong. And he gave me 100 pills in 2008, January 2008.
Yeah.
I still got 97 of them in my drawer.
Yeah.
So didn't do nothing for me.
Right.
And I'm happy with where I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
but,
I agree. Yeah.
So I'm very public about it.
Yeah.
And but more and more, I believe it is important. The other part about it that I believe was important is that the whole teaching approach, I believe, has to change, especially in a general sense, for one. Also, if you think in terms of, if you put somebody in a classroom for 4 years, doing the same thing over and over and over again, doesn't work well, never did for me, didn't work for you.
No.
I ran into a fellow by the name of Tom Romer, who was the vice president academics of BCIT in Vancouver. And I started talking to him about that book and then about this. And we started talking about micro certification. That means here is the 4 years. We'll go to the center part of skill sets that you have to acquire.
Right.
And then the rest is added to it as you need it, but not the core piece.
Yeah.
And you can start, in most cases, already functioning in that area with maybe very limited other things that you can take doing. That would do 2 things. it would be much more helpful to the slow learners and the ADHDers.
Yeah.
But it also would be, we have a huge shortage of skill sets. They do in the medical system, they do in the operational, and all throughout our ranks we have a huge shortage.
Yeah.
That would help that process.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be super cool.
So when I wrote this book, at the end, I always felt, and we were nearly at the point where we are now with my third book. The third book is Finding Your Passion, Living the Dream. I'll get you a copy of that too. And that again kind of follows this, is that a lot of people are not very happy in what they are doing.
Yeah.
Either they made the wrong choice or they feel they made the wrong choice. And I say, if you did, change.
Exactly, yes, I agree.
Because it affects your whole life if you don't do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what that particular book is all about.
Yeah.
Finding your passion.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it, living the dream. So I'm going to write this one to you, Anna, to Anna. One N, right?
Yes, you're right.
Is one N Greek?
It's
Greece?
Spanish. Yeah.
It's Spanish, yeah?
Yeah.
All the best.
No, I'm excited for this.
I interviewed, I maybe told you this already. Scott, maybe you can help me. Who did we interview last week? The lady from Eugene, Oregon.
Katie Sue.
Katie? Katie, right? And she was amazing, Eugene, Oregon, and she ADHD, 29 years old, 5'9". She's kind of proud of that.
Yeah.
I thought I just mentioned. And so when she always knew there was something there, as you were indicating. Was not diagnosed till most recently, then did a video about it, posted it on TikTok,
Yeah.
8 million views 1 week.
Yeah. TikTok is crazy.
Amazing.
Yes, I know. I love it. I know. But I find there's so much good information on there too.
Yeah,
I get to learn a lot about ADHD.
yeah,
That I'm like, oh, I'm still learning.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared it with me and with our listeners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
I think you're a fabulous artist, obviously.
Thank you.
Your ADHD is an asset because it's superpower.
Yeah.
That's what makes you even more of an artist, but also much more able to look at things in a much broader perspective.
Yeah.
So it was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'll
It
give
was
you a
my
big
pleasure.
hug, but we can't do it because we will do it afterwards.
Yes, we will.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.